You here Tuesdays with Gordon. Gordon, how are you today this morning?
I'm good. And how are you? How was your day? It's Monday for you, right? It's Tuesday for me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of times as we're connecting, I'm telling you, I may have to disconnect my LinkedIn and reconnect it again, and we'll have to do it because it was last week. We recorded, everything's all set. I get a message for you the next morning, Tommy, where's that LinkedIn? And so here I am right now, is still learning how to connect, and I may have to reconnect it later on after we're done here.
Right. Okay. Oh, so that's what happened. I was wondering, usually I can find it very easily. And then, nope, I didn't find it.
If there is one thing that I will probably say about the platform that we use is Riverside. Riverside never has a problem with YouTube. LinkedIn, it's always getting disconnected, and I have to manually go in and reconnect it again.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize that. So I guess the base platform for Riverside is YouTube.
Yeah, that, but I just then download, edit the video, and re-upload it again. Then it works.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Interesting.
today we're going to talk about this article called Five Ways to Wield Influence When You Lack Authority. Five Ways to Wield Influence When You Lack Authority. It has been one of my favorite articles that I've enjoyed, and I've enjoyed it quite a lot here, Gordon. So thank you for selecting and picking it.
No, no, you thought about it yourself too. And it was such a nice coincidence that both of us had the same idea as we both
Yeah.
read this article.
Well, before we start, a lot of times is what is one part of the article that really that you resonate with, that you was one thing as we dig into it, was that you really liked about it?
Right. Well, I think I've reached that stage of life where I probably do less meetings, and I feel like the thing that I do best, I think, is just introducing one person to another, and so we talk about it later in this article, known as connectors, and I think you have a different perspective of this such person. I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it starts off. I love what it says is most leaders eventually hit the same wall. They may have a position, a title, and a winning track record, but at some point, they will need to mobilize people who aren't their direct reports, won't be able to provide input into key decisions, or won't have control over their budgets. And when you do, and as soon as I read this, Gordon, I think a lot of times, sometimes within a church setting, a pastor will need to learn how to work with different volunteers. A nonprofit leader will need to work with a bunch of different volunteers. How do you then work with different people where you don't have authority over them? You got to figure out a way to motivate them. And so you can't really boss them around, all of those things. Those are some of the key things you're going to have to learn.
Agree, and so this article is very applicable to people who do work with volunteers. But in the real life, actually, all of us, no matter who you are, no matter on which stage of your hierarchy, you'll come to a stage when you don't have that authority.
Yeah. Yeah. And then today's leaders need to find different ways, as this author writes, to motivate and drive change so that team members choose to act instead of being forced. Let me read that again.
Hmm.
Team members need to choose to act instead of being forced. Drawn on 2 decades of research, that what's what we're going to talk about. They talk about five paths that we're going to do. The first one is the influence spotter. Well, that's self-explanatory, but talk to me about the influence spotter.
Well, actually, as I look through this, I was going to look like, okay, this is very interesting because this person works behind the scenes, influencing the groups without formal authority, and so he is able to spot the people who are able to see who are the influencers in the group meeting. So, as you and I were talking about it, and on several occasions we spoke about this, that the committee meeting is not, it's just the final meeting, but the more important meetings are all the side meetings where we kind of get some kind of agreement before we get to the committee meeting.
Yeah, yeah. Gordon, I mean, you've been in different situations, a committee, or even during your days at JP Morgan. There is a team leader. He or she has the position. But we've also been in situations where that team leader, even though on title they have the position, they don't have any power. So then you have amongst the team members, maybe it's an inexperienced person, a very influential person who, when he or she walks into the room, everyone knows that that person's there. Everyone, when there's a decision to be made, they look upon that person. That person is a person who resonates and really has the influence in the room.
Exactly. And so, being an influence spotter, it's very important to be able to know who are the influencers in that sitting around that decision making committee. And so, sometimes there's this guy who's really quiet. He just everyone just kind of waits for him to nod or something, make some gesture, and then everyone goes with that person. The
Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
thing about this article, it talks about someone who's not present at the meeting too.
Yeah, because one of the guys, the scenario that they had is one of the guys was talking with their former COO because of the close relationship, and so they had to really be able to address that dynamic as well too.
Exactly. So it's interesting that there are people who may not be apparently are influential because of the history, the relationships they have.
Yeah, but here's the one thing, Gordon. There are times, even though you can find an influential spotter, there are some leaders with the positions who are insecure leaders. So
Hmm.
then this doesn't work when they said, no, 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 wait, why do I have the influence? I yield the influence. I'm the guy who's in charge. But you have to also understand what the dynamics in the room are. But if you're insecure, you always want to be the one who's the leader.
Yeah. So one of the things I learned earlier on in my life is that you can have the most so-called stated authority, but if no one wants to do any work, no one does any work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, here's another one. The back channeler, that's path number two, the back channeler. This actually is different because a lot of times we've read articles, we've talked about articles that nobody likes side conversations. Whatever we need to talk about in meetings, let's talk it out here. But here it is telling us that sometimes you do need these back channels.
Yeah, so this guy is the kind of like mediator sort of person, right? And so before this recording, you said that this is your favorite one, and I thought, okay, it's interesting because I think a lot of this has got to do with how you negotiate behind the scene to get two people who don't seem to agree with each other to come together. Actually,
Yeah, yeah. And so let's say, for instance, you and I are angry at each other and we avoid each other, all of those things. And let's say, for instance, we're still working on a team and there's projects. Well, then what if someone talks with a representation who knows you and the other person knows me, but they're sitting there, okay, tell me a little bit about what frustrates you about Gordon. Well, tell me a little bit about what actually you like about working with Gordon, and that person is able to work through with the other person to do some of the back channels.
exactly. So I think the bachelor is very important because this person actually kind of mediates between two parties, two persons, and brings them together so that collaboration works.
Yeah. But Gordon, my favorite statement of all this is right at the end. It says, this path works only if the back channeler is a trusted party. Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah, otherwise you yield no you wield no influence, and the two would never come together. And like, why do I care about Gordon if he's the back channeler?
Or more so, if you don't have a good third person, a back channeler, they could be saying one thing to the other person and coming back and saying to you, we've been in situations where you're sitting there, I think this guy's feeding the wrong information to everyone here.
I think this guy is a toxic guy.
Yes, right. I think this guy has his own agenda. He wants this collaboration to fail because he or she has their own agenda.
Yeah, so that's a dangerous one. That's not a back channeler.
Yeah. So you got to be able to trust. And so, yeah, you have every intention to have a back channel, but then at the same time, if you don't choose the right person, you could open up a whole can of worms and make it worse off than it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Third one.
the third one, that's a difficult one. I didn't quite understand this precision mover. Um, what's your perspective of this person?
Uh, Actually, before you do, is what is your? Let me turn it real fast to you, Alan. What was your gut feeling when you read this one?
Wow, so the line that got me on this one is precision movers know not to act when people are experiencing the kind of anxiety, defensiveness, or any anger, and so on. So it sounded like me that someone who's very feeling about the temperature of the room, the temperature of everyone, and so on and so forth, and chooses the right time to do things or not do things.
And I totally agree with Gordon because sometimes you need someone who knows how to read the room. For instance, you and I are on the team. Back in your days at JP Morgan, you came up with this wonderful idea, this creative ideas, but at the same time, it's out of the ordinary. But suddenly, we get word that earnings went down, stock prices went down. They may have to do a layoff, and you want to really be able to propose that. And I would say to you, Gordon, it's a great idea. I think it's good, but let's hold on to the idea. It's not the time now. But then the next quarter, things are going well. Now you present that idea. So that person knows when to bring ideas in, how to navigate the room, all of those things.
Yeah, so I'm here. I'm sitting thinking about who are such people, and I guess the people that fall into this category are people who are very good at understanding the context of things, and they're very sensitive to how people feel things. And so, yeah, we do need such people, and it's always important to kind of ask them for their opinions of what it is.
Yeah.
And if you're one of them, then you're great.
Yeah, they use the example like Steve Jobs. Steve
Hmm.
was always very, very critical of everything and everyone. And so when the engineers of Apple brought together, okay, this touch screen, everything like that, they decided to go to the VP of engineering first because they knew that if they got the VP of engineering on board with that, that guy could then present to Steve Jobs and things were okay. And hence the iPhone was born. But yet at the same time, the precision say, hey, look, even though it's your idea, it's great, but let's go this route to present it to something else. So
Yeah, and I think the person that was stated in this article, Johnny Ives, he knew Steve Jobs very well, and so I think
mhm.
he knows exactly when Steve Jobs was in a good mood or not a good mood.
Yeah. And then the last one, I mean, actually, the second from last one is the one that you like, connector.
Yeah, so all of us know connectors. They don't say anything. All they do is introduce you to someone else who can do something, and I think that's an important channel to have. Sometimes you're doing a new project or your project needs something slightly out of the context of the people that you usually work with, and that's when you need a connector to help you be introduced to these such other people. So there we go. So I think connectors are important in that sense.
Yeah, at the same time, one of the things I love about this article, Gordon, this actually was the one that resonated with you. There are two types of connectors. There's the one that says, Gordon, let me connect you with that person, that person, that person, that person. But yet at the same time, you feel used all the time. This person's just getting to know me and I feel used. But yet there's an authentic connector. Gordon, let me get to know you and your organization. Let me get to know you. What can I do to help you out? Okay, Tommy, here's what, let me help you. Let me connect you. So then I appeal to you. You realize, wait, he's not connecting me just to get all my contacts, but he's connecting because he's helpful, all of those. Oh, let me reciprocate and connect you with them. So there's two different types of connectors that people have.
Agree. So they're not the referrers, but they're the connectors because the intentions are very different.
Yeah, and there are, and if reasons there are two kinds of networkers: those who collect people like business cards, and those who spend years making deposits they don't expect to see return. The first kind can fill a room with people. The second one can move those people. That is so key.
Yeah, and it's the second one that really is effective.
Yeah, yeah. Gordon, do you know of a person who does that really well in terms of the second one?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I've seen people who've been in organizations for a long time. My church, for example, they've been there. They know very many people, and they all know this person's intentions and this person's heart, and this person's always doing the best for the organization. So people trust him. And when he says, "Hey, why don't you go and refer to this person?" and just tell the person, "I brought you, asked you to refer," and it works. It's a magical.
Yeah. Contrast that person who sits there and knows everyone in the room. But then when he or she walks in, they're the loudest one in the room. Hey, so and so. Hey, so and so. They're always looking. Oh, excuse me. I got to go to the other person. They're always trying to figure out who the biggest fish in the room is. And after a while, that person gets a reputation
Agree. My wife calls them name droppers.
all the time. Yeah, right. I don't care. I really don't care.
Right, right, right. I think they're just more the bragging than actually being useful.
Yeah. The last one, Pulse Reader. What would you say about this one?
So this one's interesting because let me read the description. The pulse readers notice just not just what is said about aloud, but where energy drops or attention converges, when silence carries weight, and how opinions are formed. So I guess a little bit like the earlier one where we talked about the um, precision mover. This one actually kind of reads the room in a different way. I think the precision mover reads the room to as to when action got to take place. But this one actually reads the room to know when connections can take place. I think
Yeah.
I believe.
Gordon, have we been in situations where there's a decision a leader makes and all of us are sitting in a room and a leader says, any issues with this decision? No one says anything. Great. We're all in agreement. And you're sitting there, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, so this is the pulse reader as opposed to the earlier one who is the precision mover because this one nobody's on board yet.
Yes. And it doesn't matter what they don't say or what they say. You can see on their faces. You can see they're on their they don't like that decision. But then the leader who doesn't isn't reading the pulse of the room sits there. Oh, no one disagree with me. Well, I don't think you understand their nonverbal cues that they just gave you.
Right, right. So social awareness and emotional awareness, I think, is really key to such a person, and so I think it's important sometimes to borrow insights from such a person.
Yeah. And don't you feel like I feel like this article is so much more important right now because in the past it was about, hey, look, if I give you a salary, if I pay you, you do whatever I say. But now, you know what? These days people want more purpose. People want meaning in their work. Salary, you can kind of get another salary pretty high somewhere else. So they want to feel valued. They want to feel like they're part of the team and their opinion matters.
Yeah, and the context in which we work in is so much different now. Things are more fragmented. Things are kind of a bit more volatile, and things move too fast. And so you can't own everything to try and put things together. So you need to collaborate with other people. You need to outsource. And as you collaborate and outsource, well, this article really applies because you're just trying to get their buy-in.
Yeah. And the old ways, and you will probably say back in the days when you in the 80s as you were managed, where the boss says, Gordon, I don't care what you think. You do whatever I say. That doesn't work anymore.
Exactly. So to me, power has kind of changed somewhat. Power is no longer that authority that gets people to do things.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much. Tuesdays with Gordon. I love this article. It's been one of my favorite articles that we read. And thank you for taking time out to discuss it with me.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I love this discussion. It's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. And even while we're still talking, I'm gonna get a message from you. Tommy, I can't find that on LinkedIn because it is still connecting to our LinkedIn. And so, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's live, but we're gonna sit there. I'm gonna edit. I'm gonna put it by LinkedIn, and the whole topic is 5 ways to wield influence when you lack authority. 5 ways to wield influence when you lack authority. Thank you, Gordon.
Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah. Hey, last thing. I probably won't be seeing you for a few weeks because
Exactly.
I'm
So
in
we agreed on this one that I had
yeah,
errands to run, and you had something. You were in Brazil, I think.
Brazil, Indonesia, and South Africa.
Wow, exotic.
So I'll see you in mid-September.
See ya.
All right. Bye.